Hello folks, it's Appfielder here, back with a quick look at this week's snapshot, which is for 1.18 and it is experimental snapshot number 6. If you need to know how to install the experimental snapshots, they're a little trickier than normal snapshots, then a link for that video will be in the top right hand corner right now. Let's jump right on into the first change then, and the reason I'm flying around this area is A, because I just really enjoy exploring the new terrain. But one of the changes this week is to reduce the number of micro cold biomes, or bird poop biomes as the developer was calling them. And what you'd quite often get in these areas is just these little micro snow biomes, and they looked absolutely awful. So can't find any in this area, so that is a definite improvement because they were very odd and they looked absolutely awful. So really happy that they've gone, and none in the desert over here. A little bit of red sand, kind of like that change. Okay, so reduced snow biomes then. Okay, let's head into change number 2 this week, which is quite a cool one. And that is the ocean floors are now cavier, in the words of the developer, and we're going to head down into one now. Now this took a long time to find. So ocean ravines went in the last couple of snapshots. They've now been replaced with the normal cave generation that will be coming in 1.18. And so, yeah, they now break through into the ocean floor. That brings me on to another change, which is that magma blocks have been increased. So the chances of finding air while you're exploring in survival should be a little bit higher. So yeah, caves should now break out onto the ocean floor. Now, it seems to be incredibly rare. This is the only one I found, and I searched for several thousand blocks, so I think this still needs some tweaking, but it's good that they're coming back. It's nice that you'll be able to dive into the ocean, and you then should be able to jump into an aquifer and into these big underground caves, but yeah, not quite there yet, but a steady improvement with this snapshot. I'm sure we'll see some changes to that in the next one. Next up then is that horses will follow you when you're holding a golden carrot or a golden apple. Same for donkeys and mules. And this is to make it a little bit easier as you cross rivers and stuff, although he doesn't seem to be that attentive. But he did start to follow me, you saw that, right? And in the background there is a very subtle hint. Folks, if you're enjoying the content, please consider giving the channel a subscribe. I do some really cool videos on client-side mods like Tweakaroo and Lightmatica, as well as general Minecraft SMP content. Hit that subscribe button, folks. Let's move on to change number 4. And for this one, we're going underground, so I have the effect of night vision on. I know some people don't like that, but I'm trying to show you the terrain generation rather than the atmosphere of these caves. Change number 4 is that the Lush Caves are now on average slightly bigger, and we've got quite a cool looking one here. Let's just double check, it's definitely a Lush Cave, because I get told off for this down in my comments. And that's, you know, quite big. Let's have a look around here. Still goes, it's quite a cool effect, and it carries on over the other way as well. I think it needs a little bit more work still. I don't know, it doesn't feel that lush. It doesn't feel that ingrained with the kind of terrain, if you know what I mean. This looks better in here, but it didn't look that good out there. This looks better. I prefer this. That's change number 4. They're slightly bigger again. On to change number 5 then, and we are looking at the mountain biomes, and they should better reflect the biomes that they are in. And by that, so if this mountain was in a desert, for example, the snow would start a lot higher up. Makes a lot more sense if you think about it in the real world. The snow is not always going to start at the same level. I think that's a good change, and it's going to give us some good variation in the landscape, in the terrain generation that we're looking at. And the second thing, which might not be immediately noticeable here, but last week there were a huge number of springs. Mojang made springs more common to give us waterfalls into the rivers and things like that. The frequency of those has been reduced, and actually not seeing any. So maybe that needs a little bit tweaking back the other way. They may have gone too far, but that's some very cool terrain. Okay, let's move on to the final change number 6. This is swamps then, and this is not the demonstration that I wanted to show you, but this was the first swamp I found, and this is, well, I'm not a fan. This is just a bit odd. It's not very swampy, it's a microbiome. Swamps still feel quite buggy with this terrain generation, if you ask me. Let's see if we can't find a better one to talk about the next change. This is better, and this perfectly demonstrates what I wanted to show you. Swamps can now generate in dry areas, so this swamp is surrounded by a desert, which in itself is a little bit odd, but it's not too bad. It doesn't look too jarring, even though it's a little bit weird that you have a very dry biome next to a very wet biome. The reason for this change is that what was happening was you'd get micro hot biomes inside, or micro dry biomes inside the swamps, like little patches of desert and stuff. So that's why these have been changed. And they look absolutely fine as far as I'm concerned. I think it makes more sense than having a desert in the middle of your swamp. That's it for the changes that I wanted to show you in this week's quick look. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like, consider subscribing to the channel. Folks, I'm Abfielder. That's all I have time for.